guess I'll start with about 5 years ago when my life took a drastic downturn because my wife of nearly 20 years and I separated. And I ended up, starting completely over. And talk about a hole being in your life when you're used to being married and having 4 children under your roof every single day, all day. Sometimes the noise you may want to break and you may not want that noise, but when you're all of a sudden alone in your own condo, in your own space, it's very, very quiet when you're used to having 4 noisy children. And I was a weekend parent, not what I wanted. And I didn't know how God was going to fix it, or if He really would. I had been in and out of churches most of my life since I was about 13, and I won't bore you with all the details of my walk from 13 through, but I ended up in a church that unfortunately scarred me, and the result was my wife and I separated, and I became a weekend parent. So I left church for a while. I was too afraid to go back to a church for a year, too afraid to open myself up for a year. And I was living within walking distance of the tree. And one Easter of 2010, my sister, who was living here with her husband, said, "We're going to go to church for Easter." And as Pastor says, and as our tape says, if you ask someone to go for Easter, they'll go. My sister, it's like, "Do you want to go?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go. I'm really not ready, but I'll go." Well, Easter was all it took because I walked in, and the first person to grab me and say hello and make me feel comfortable was Shirley. I came in and I listened to the worship team, and obviously it fit my personality, and I'm slightly charismatic, ever so slightly, and it just really fit my heart, and God put me where I needed to be. And how awesome that, being blind, I can't drive. I didn't have to drive to go to church. I didn't have to rely on anybody to go to church. I could walk. It was in walking distance of my condo. And here I am, still 4 years later. God's still working on me. Very definitely a work in progress. I now have custody of my kids. I'm working on forgiving my ex-wife for a lot. I'm working on forgiving myself for a lot. And while my ex-wife and I may have made a train wreck of our marriage, I have 4 phenomenal kids. I will never say it was a waste of time because God put her in my life, and we do have 4 great kids because of it. Now I'm going to be a grandfather, and that's awesome too. And we will share grandchildren. And although, like I said, my ex-wife and I made a train wreck of our life and of our marriage, God fixed it. God managed to put the pieces back together again, and is holding me in His hand, and I'm very happy with who I am. 4 years later, still here at the tree, worshiping with my family. I love you all.